Yeah. So yeah, I'm not really sure whether. So that's clearly he's got a pair of Haidate with bright silver. So the black lacquered pieces, they look like hinged upper arm guards. But I there's a type of Sode that is similar to that, and they've got those laces that are tied together so prettily in the front look like the laces that go from this side and at the back to hold the Sode down.
Yeah.
So maybe they're Sode. It's quite common to have Sode for an armor that weren't worn in battle, that they were only if you were, at an official function and you were wearing armor, you had the Sode on, but when you went into battle, you take them off because they got in the way. Because you're doing a lot of upper arm movements. Most people fought in hand-to-hand battles. They would use in the early days, they would use a naginata, which is a pole weapon with a long curved blade on the end.
Yes.
Later on, they became less common in battle, and the most common weapon in battle was a spear, yari, and everybody wore a sword, but when you were fighting, you used your spear until it broke, and then you used your sword. Because yari, you could deliver really hard thrusts, and yari blades, if you've seen them, often are triangular in cross section, and they may only be that long, but they have a steel tang that fits into the shaft that can be, this long.
Yes.
And when you thrust, they can do serious damage to the armor and the person inside. And if they don't go through the armor, they're so strong, you just push the guy over.
Yes, you do. Easily.
And once he's on the ground, he's in real trouble.
Yes, easily.
So,
yes.
You've got to, think in terms of you want flexibility in your arms. You want to be able to move around.
Yes.
And I think in the Japanese combat in battle, the ability of getting out of the way was more important than just standing there and taking the blow. Because when you got out of the way, the other guy's off balance and you can take him out of the battle.
Yes.
It wasn't, to be nimble, to be able to move smoothly and elegantly were important. I noticed the kote on his arms, they have steel pieces there in decorative gourd shape, which is quite common. Kote get names. Some of them are named after famous warriors, like Yoshitsune kote, named after the younger brother of the first Minamoto shogun, Minamoto no Yoshitsune. And they have a number of decorative metal plates on them that are both protective and symbolic of woodblock or Buddhist protective things. Again, you notice this checkering where the arm is meant to bend, the mail is broken up into a kind of checker pattern so that there are gaps so that it folds more easily. Because again, it's really important to be able to move your arms. It still would offer some protection from cuts. And a lot of the protection that you're looking for is from incidental, like passing cuts, like the person is aiming at this part and you move out of the way and the blade slides down you. So you don't want to be, a sharp blade on bare skin or even clothed skin can cut straight through just by passing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like chopping like an axe. And so therefore, mail like that, even though it might not defend you against a stab or a cut, would protect you from these passing cuts when you're getting out of the way or the person is thrown off balance or whatever. So it's important, but it also doesn't impede your flexibility and weighs less than a fully covering piece of mail. So that there's the choices the Japanese made in their armor were between protectiveness and ease of use,
Yes.
and uh, they they thought it very important that you were able to move around comfortably
Yes.
because they were very active fighters. Here we have two examples. I Do you notice the horse's champions on the left there, in the
Pete,
form of
you need
dragons?
to admit this is one of the most beautiful collections of Japanese arms and armor outside Japan. One has really to admit it's amazing
Yeah,
what they
I
are.
mean that they're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah,
Um,
it's amazing, you know.
the and the way that the plates have been lacquered and coloured,
Yeah.
uh, so that you've got the rising sun kind of motifs. I'm not quite sure of what the mon is on the flag. My memory isn't that great for that. But the armor is basically strips of metal or leather that have been lacquered into solid plates.
Yeah.
Um, they could have been, sometimes they're laced together and then the whole thing is lacquered once they're rigidly laced. And sometimes they're riveted together, and sometimes they're forge welded together if they're steel plates. The Japanese armor makers had lots of different ways of making armor, and there is a nomenclature for armor that is very specific. In 5 words, you could describe a whole armor because you could say how it was constructed, how it fitted together, because there were specific terms for all these kinds of things. The chamfrons, or the face coverings for the horses in the form of dragons, I mean,
This is seriously.
these are not, like big heavy metal things. Usually they're lacquered wood and they're quite
Aren't
light.
they magnificent, V? They're
But
really
you
beautiful.
can imagine if somebody's riding on with a horse that looks like a dragon, that would be really off-putting. That flag, um, I think Sashima, it's a flag that fits into a couple of rings on the back of the armor. And there were officer levels. So at a certain officer level, you got one of these flags to put in the back of your armor. And you wore it. You wore it on horseback. You wore it when you were fighting on foot. You stood out in a crowd. If you were leading a troop of soldiers, they could always see where you were because this flag was. So it was kind of like uh, it solved the problem. Do you have somebody holding a flag next to you? You just have this stuck in the back of your armor. I mean, it must have slowed you down, but you're an officer, so perhaps it's not as important.
This is one of
Now,
the
the arm.
most colorful armor I have ever seen. This one on the
Oh yeah,
left. Really nice.
there's whole, like in the laced armor, they would lace patterns like V-shaped patterns and everything over the different rows, and it would be all integrated. So when you saw the armor at a distance, you'd be stunned by it. Um, and gilded lacquer is really quite durable. I mean, obviously you can scratch it with a sword and things like that, but it's resistant to rain and all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really showy.
Yeah.
And again, important people tried to show off. You see, he's got some kind of weird animal head on top of his helmet
Yeah.
with ears sticking up.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not quite sure what it is.
It looks like a
Again,
rabbit.
you need that book of helmets to explain what the
Yeah,
helmets
it
are.
looks like a rabbit helmet, with 2 ears,
It could be. It's a very angry looking rabbit, though. Then again, who knows? Uh, um, on the other side, we have a European style breastplate, but it's not a European breastplate. Almost certainly, it's a Japanese version of a European breastplate. Because as soon as they saw them, they worked out how to use them. And it's funny, the Japanese saw European caboset helmets. These are little hat-shaped helmets with a small brim and a little turned back peak on the top of the helmet. And they liked them so much, but they thought the Europeans were building them the wrong way around. So they reversed them and then put Japanese neck
Yes.
guards on. And they look really good.
They do.
Uh, so this armor has got a very European style breastplate, and the reason is guns. The huge horns are to make this person outstanding on the battlefield, so you can see him from a mile away.
Beat,
You notice?
it looks like someone from the Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I mean this is the well Star Wars, like the Darth Vader helmet and that. There is some Japanese influence there, so
Yes.
it's not surprising. But on the left there, you see that looks like a tachi to me
Yeah.
on a stand. Now, Japanese swords on a stand, when the sword is vertical, it's hilt down and point up.
Yes. Point up.
Um, this was the proper way to display them. This type of stands, they still make them. This is how you display them. You sometimes see in European books they have the sword the wrong way around
Yeah.
and the hilt up. But you've got to remember this was put next to someone sitting cross-legged on a mat on the floor.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if he reaches over, he will take the hilt. Otherwise, the hilt would be up in the air. Whereas the European thinks of somebody sitting on a chair,
Yes.
and therefore he
Yes.
reaches down. So it's just a different system.
Yes.
Looking at the armor itself, he's got really good Suniate, the shin guards,
Mm.
really good. The haidate, or the skirt that covers the thighs, classic lacquered, probably leather or steel
Yeah.
scales, and that leather top so that it fits around the body quite well.
Yeah.
Um, the kuzazuri, it looks like one, two, three, four, probably seven kuzazuri, two at the
Mm.
back, two on each side, and one in the middle. Um, there was one of the Japanese books on armor speaks of the kuzazuri, the front one. Normally, the armor, the rows overlapped upwards, so that the top row would be overlapped by the next row,
Yeah.
which would be overlapped by the next row going down. But the ones they put on the front, particularly for horsemen, they would overlap the other way. So when you got on your horse, it would slide up your lower belly and not jab into the tops of your thighs and cause lots of discomfort. Uh, I'm not quite sure what the lacquered box on the other side. It could be a sword box. So some
Isn't it?
sword.
Isn't it? Isn't it like a sword bag?
Yeah, I think it's a lacquered box rather than a
Is
bag.
it a bag? No, it's a box. You're right. It's not,
Yeah.
of
So
course, a
so the
bag.
whole sword would fit inside in its silk case, silk
Yeah.
bag. You put it inside that, and then you put the top on. So this is the waterproof thing. And your retainer would carry it for you. Because important people had people to carry things for them.
Yes,
There would be
absolutely.
a guy walking along behind you with a folding stool.
Oh,
So
hold
that when you
on,
wanted
Beat.
to.
Let me see.
Oh, it's got the details. Cylindrical body of the. Well, it says quiver.
Ah, it's a quiver.
Uh, I don't know if it's got. Yeah, I can't see any dimensions there.
No, it doesn't say. It's
It
a
doesn't
quiver.
look like a quiver. There are arrow boxes like that, but they're not common in Japan. More common in Korea. Um,
This one.
yeah.
Okay.
See, and that's a touchy, and that you can see the rims on the scabbard.
And
That
as
kind.
you mentioned, handle down.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's those stands. They still make them. You can still buy them. Um,
Yes.
you when you want to sit your sword next to you. And this was done in formal situations where a daimyo or the shogun or somebody
Yeah.
or a general is sitting down
Yes.
uh indoors, and you would have one of these on one side with his sword.
Yes.
And in some cases you would have an armor set up and a sword to one side, showing the an ancient armor, an ancient sword of your family, to show how long and traditional you are. The helmets on the left there are really nice.
Yeah.
Um, the so the gold helmet in the middle, you're looking up inside the helmet.
Yeah.
And you can see three loops around the rim of the helmet, one here, and one at the back. And that's what the cord for tying the helmet on went through. There are corresponding holes in the helmet itself for those loops to go through, usually. Sometimes there are rivets. This one is, I think, I'm not sure, because you know how you get an optical illusion when you're looking into a hollow thing in a picture where it looks like it's pushing out instead of going in.
Yeah.
Normally, there would be a leather cap inside that, um, made of layers of leather and silk, and then all stitched together to form this very solid cap, which the helmet was attached to, and the helmet sat above your head. So it didn't sit down on your helmet like a hat does. Um, but those leather caps don't always survive. You notice most of the helmets show that fluting caused by being made of strips of metal
Yeah.
riveted together. Now, the more modern helmets do not have the rivets sticking up.
Yeah.
The more modern helmets are smooth because this is much better at letting the sword slide past instead of giving you concussion.
Absolutely.
Now, there's different styles of helmet. These are all more modern styles, by which I mean 1600s, 1500s, 1600s, because that was when they decided to make helmets that were much stronger,
Yeah.
but they tried to make them lighter, and so they got rid of the decorative rivets. But you notice the neck guards are all quite small compared to those earlier helmets. Um, the one we're looking up into, you can see that the rows of the shikoro are actually solid, uh, and that's quite normal at this period. When the rows have a thick layer of lacquer and it's carved to look like scales, it's called kitsuka kazane, which is false scales, basically.
Yes.
That was a style, but it wasn't important because the strength was in the metal, not in the lacquer. Um, the next armor on the other side, you can see in the box the fan. This is a commander's fan,
Just fine.
and
Yes.
it's used to signal, go that way. Um, the red garment on the side is an over armor sleeveless vest called a jimbari, and that was often very colorful. It went down to the covering the upper parts of your thigh. You see it split at the back. This is looking at the back of it. It had a stand-up collar. It sometimes had the sides folded out because you usually could see the armor underneath it. It was basically just to keep the dust off your armor, I suppose. You can see also his armor, the cuirass on the body is a big plate covering the belly,
Yes.
and then a series of articulated, laced together plates in a row at the top so that you could bend forward more easily.
Yes.
This was quite a common idea. It seems to work very well. You can see the cote, the sleeve armor, much more clearly here.
Yeah.
Sometimes the sleeve armor was buttoned onto the main armor. Sometimes, particularly in the older times,
Hmm.
each sleeve had two cords that tied under the opposite armpit, and
Yeah.
so they crossed over. That was gradually phased out, and they started making the sleeves out of with buttons at the top because the people were nearly always wearing armor directly. Again, you see this pattern of holes, square holes, where the elbow is going to bend um, to give you more flexibility. And there's a gilded six-petal flower on the chest,
Yeah.
and sun discs on the haidate on the that covered the thighs. Also, the suneate, the shin guards are made of strips of steel connected by thin strips of mail, I think,
Yes.
um, over padding, because you really don't want that directly against your skin.
Yes.
The solid ones that are made of big
Yes.
pieces of
Yes.
metal usually could be worn without padding because they shape to the thigh very well.
Another
So
armor on the right side.
yeah, on the right side, this is again one of the classic um, late Sengoku Jidai armors, which are optimized for. I mean, the sode on the shoulders are archaic and were made to make the armor look like it's an old armor. The helmet decorations are very archaic.
Yeah.
So this belongs to some high-ranking person.
Yeah.
But the body of the armor is really practical, and often these were made of layers of steel and iron
Yeah.
to make them very resistant to bullets of the time. So in Japanese books in the 1700s, they talk about making forge welding a sheet of um, iron, which is relatively soft, to a hard steel plate. And the hard steel plate was to stop the bullet, and the iron was to stop the armor from breaking apart, because
Absolutely.
it's the same idea in certain types of sword blades. So this is in that sense, the body part of the armor is quite practical. Again, the shoulder guards were largely ceremonial at this time, and they might be worn when you were going to review the troops or something, but when you went into battle, you probably had a page take them off and put them back in the box. The Haidate are much more solid looking
Yeah.
than some of the earlier ones,
Yeah.
because they were more worried about, what was being shot at you. And to be honest, I think one of the reasons that archery declined was because guns required such stronger armor that the archery reached diminishing returns. It was just not practical to be shooting bows that heavy. Japanese made very heavy bows. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a kind of misunderstanding in the West among some people that because Kudo bows for target shooting are, like 50 to 60 pounds, 25 to 30 kilos for adult men, that was a war bow. But war bows were big and very powerful. And bows of that strength were being used in certain kinds of competitions well into the 20th century. So the old competition they used to shoot at the what was it? There's a covered veranda in one of the temples,
Yes.
Sanju Sangenda,
Yes.
uh, where they shot for 24 hours, and they had to get the arrows from one end of this veranda to the other. But because of the roof, you couldn't have a high trajectory, so you had to have a bow that was really powerful. But of course, you were trying to shoot 24 hours. So how strong do you have to be? I mean, they trained for months before they did it, and the people that did it were professionals. They weren't just average people. But you're talking about shooting, 8 to 10,000 arrows in 24 hours. That's a lot. You could have to be massive. You had to have a sponsor who was really rich to afford all the arrows, because you only used the arrow once, and to afford to pay you to do the training, because you shot kneeling down, because the ceiling was a certain height. So the lower you were, the higher the arrow could arch. It didn't really make a lot of difference. Um, it's just what I'm trying to imply is those were really powerful towards the end of the samurai period, but the armor got developed to a higher level because of the requirement to resist guns. Like in the West, they gave up wearing armor, and if they'd still been using bows would have been much more effective. Um, which is what happened when they fought the Crimean Tatars and the Turks. They had to, like in Austria, I believe, that when you went on a battle to the east, you wore plate armor, and when you went on a battle to the west, you wore buff coats. Because in the west, you'd either get shot or not get shot by a gun. In the east, um, you had some chance of protecting yourself against arrows if you're wearing armor. So different styles for different enemies. The other thing I can see on that armor on the right, if you look at the waist of the cuirass, there are two holes.
Yeah.
Those two holes, generally speaking, for a period, they used to have two cords inside the armor that ran from the back of the armor
Yes.
inside over the shoulders and out those two holes, and then you would tie them in a knot, and that would lift the armor somewhat so you could get it balanced the right weight on your hips or your waist and the right weight on your shoulders. So they're part of a design of armor that was popular for a while. Then they kind of decided that it was better to make the armor fit the waist better than it was to play around with this kind of thing. But it was a thing for a while. We see a ninja on the on the left. I'm smiling because the kind of costume for the ninja is based on the stagehands in kabuki plays and no dramas. So if a person dressed like that on stage, you were meant to ignore them. So it implied invisibility, but in fact, if anyone was walking around the street dressed like that, they would be immediately arrested.
Exactly. I just want to say that.
Yeah, and the weapons, that's a Kusarigama, I think, which is Kama is a sickle.
Yes.
So it's a stick with a right-handed blade. I've got one out the back. I use it for cutting the grass around rose bushes. It's very practical.
Yes.
And the kusari is means chain. So there's a chain with a little weight on the end. And
Yes.
this was. I mean, it's associated as a ninja weapon, but it was an actual weapon um, used by samurai, but not very often because it's very impractical. Because you have to have a room to swing the chain around.
Yes.
And if you're standing with a group of people who are on your side, you can't do that because you'll hit them. So it's basically a one-on-one weapon.
Yes.
And, there are better things you can do. There's a whole series of weapons like this that are described in the Chinese novel from the 1400s, the Outlaws of the Marsh.
Yes.
And they're comet maces and all this kind of stuff. Now, that helmet at the top, it's in the shape of a hat, but it's made of metal riveted together. The
Yes.
the hat that it's in the shape of, um, jingdasa, something like that. Samurai, when they were just traveling, often had really nice lacquered hats that kept the rain off, shaded your face and everything. But if you were expecting trouble, they could be quite good at deflecting blades as well. So practically a helmet, even though they acted as a hat. Um, we have some katanas and maybe wakizashi, or is it? Yeah, there's a wakizashi there, a katana, the katana scabbard, the wakizashi scabbard. So you notice on the scabbards like a little hook, which
Yes.
is when you put it in your obi, in your sash, that stops the whole thing sliding through. Um,
What
uh,
is very
often there's
strange
a
for me, as you know, in Nihonto circles, everywhere, also in Japanese swordsmanship circles, traditional, katana and wakizashi and tanto need always to be edge up. And here they're edge
yes.
down, which is complete. You know that I don't
Yeah,
understand.
it's an unusual way to display them.
Yes.
Uh, because yeah, the normal way of displaying the blade is edge up.
Yeah.
Um, uh, just, but this might have been done. The original display may have been done 100 years ago when nobody knew in the West, and then the current curators have just said, "Oh, I've got an old photograph of how it was done. We'll do it that way," rather than say, "Let us correct everything to the way that the Japanese say we should be doing it." Uh, I mean, it's understandable.
Yes.
Uh,
You know,
and then
I will go there, Bede, next time myself, and I will take pictures and close up of the blades so we can talk about the hamon, jihada, itsuri, and things like that. Okay. But here we
oh yeah,
don't have such close-ups.
no, no, but it still gives you a good feel for
Yeah.
the setup of the blades and
Yeah, they're
that.
beautiful
Uh,
pictures Dana took.
yeah.
Look at the polaroids on
On
the right side, Bede.
Oh yeah, we've got these wonderful the ones down the bottom with all the spikes and the hooks are used by police to capture people without killing them. So
Yeah,
remember,
this one, this
yeah,
one, this one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So people wore kimonos which have big sleeves, and what they did was they thrust them in and twisted, and then that would lock into the guy's sleeve. And unless he wanted to get undressed, he was pulled to the ground and then tied up and taken to the magistrate. Um, so yeah, they're man catchers. I mean, they had similar things in Europe,
Oh,
weirdly enough,
I didn't
in
know.
the I think in the 16th, 17th century for catching thieves. Above that, uh, looks like a spear. Then, but maybe not. Then above that is another thing that seems to have claws on the end. Then it's what looks like to be a spear. Sometimes you see Japanese spears are somewhat curved because they've been stored leaning against a wall, whereas in Japan they would have been on a rack like that, and they would have kept their straightness. Above that to the right, I think, is a jite,
Yeah.
which is an iron bar with a little projection that comes forward and a handle.
Yeah.
And the police used them to disarm samurai because they weren't supposed to kill the samurai, but they had to get the sword off the samurai or the samurai would kill them. So they had this parrying weapon, which, worst comes to worst, if a samurai hit it really hard with his sword, it would break his sword. But if you didn't want to break his sword, you could twist it, and the sword blade would be caught in between the main blade of the jite and the little hook that comes up,
I need
and you
to
could
mention
disarm it.
something, Beat. I fully agree with you, because I also know that jite is also used in traditional swordsmanship styles like Tanshin Shoden Katori Shinto Ryo. I mean, these are styles which are documented 500 years old, right? Like
Yeah,
also
yeah.
by Master Otake. But there is a colleague of us, a Russian colleague of us. Um, well, I don't mention his name, but he has very peculiar view on Japanese swords and arms and armor. Peculiar view in a sense that not appreciative, right? I have to put it that way,
Mm-hmm.
very careful. And he claims in one of his articles, published in Moscow, I remember that jite was a symbol that you show to criminals that you're a police officer. And I just said, excuse me, jite, and he meant that it was never used. Jite is used in Tanshin Shoden Katori Shinto Ryo. It is used in many styles of documented old Japanese
Yeah.
swordsmanship. But he was adamant in saying no, it was only like a sheriff in the United States, which has like a star of sheriff, and this
Yeah.
was jite. And I'm sorry to say that, but it doesn't make sense to me. What's your take on it, Pete?
No, no. Well, jite was a weapon that was used by the police, but was part of the normal weapon collection that you would use and you would train on, because any samurai might be called to arrest somebody. It wasn't like there was a police only force.
Yeah.
I mean, if your lord sent you to arrest somebody and he says, "I don't want you to kill him," you would use something like that to disarm him. Now, what the Russian person may be thinking of is that it was used as a symbol by the police to say that this is an official business and I'm going to disarm you if you fight me. But it's less like a sheriff's star than it is like a policeman's baton in England.
Yes,
Do
absolutely. I
what I
agree.
say, or I will
No, because
hit
he
you
was
on the
saying
head
it
with it.
was never used, which is, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's not true. I mean, look, the jite's closest relative is the Okinawan sai, that
Time.
trident type weapon,
Yes.
and used the same way. I look, it's sometimes people have read a particular author said something which, from their knowledge at the time, was the best approximation, and the person reads that, and that forever is all they need to know about it, and they don't delve any deeper. Uh, yeah, I knew people that were had done various Japanese martial arts, and everybody understood jite.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They're a well-known thing, and
Yeah.
they were very effective. Could you imagine somebody coming at you with a katana, and you got one of those, and you just go whack, click, bang, and he's standing there without any weapon at all. I mean, you have to be really skillful to use it. You
Yeah.
have to be as good a swordsman as the guy you're fighting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's got a certain charm. I look, I don't know, I'm not sure, but is the weapon laying on the floor of the case with all the man catches? Is that a short javelin like spear with a scabbard over
Yeah,
the
I
blade?
think so. This one you mean, right? I was just thinking
Yeah,
about that one. Yeah.
because they had a short spear that was used. It was used in very close combat, but in more civilian context where you didn't want to be carrying around a full size spear.
Yes.
Um, kind of like a sword cane without the sword. Um, it wasn't used like a cane; it was carried as a weapon.
Yeah.
But in close quarters, sometimes in towns, narrow streets, things like that, you needed something you could use. Again, even the jitte was good for that.
And look at
Oh,
these now.
yeah, yeah. So starting at the top, we have a kama or a sickle.
Yeah.
Then we've got something else that looks like some form of adze with the
Yeah.
blade that way
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
That actually looks like it's very decorative to be a tool.
Yeah.
So it may have a special military thing. But then again, it may be a scabbard with a blade in it, and that's just something wrapped around the top of the handle. Sometimes it's hard to tell from the photograph. Below that, we've got flat link chains and grapples of some sort,
Yeah.
which could be used for swinging around and hooking
Yeah.
people's legs and pulling them over.
Yeah.
Below that, we have a really beautiful spear
Yeah.
with
Beautiful.
a blade with its fuller inset with red lacquer. And if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
that's the scabbard for the blade leaning up against the wall behind it because it's got the same
Yeah.
shark skin like pattern on it.
Yes.
A small cannon, which surely everybody should have. Um,
Yeah. Here. Yeah.
one of my friends had one.
Yeah, beautiful. And we have also
Yeah.
something here, maybe we can show it. And, this, what they had also, in them, they show these techniques, in this
Mm.
museum, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, look, spear was very. Well, instead of spear or
yes. Just want to
I
say
hate.
that, excuse me, Beat, spear as naginata, he's using a naginata. You see that is a cutting for cutting and thrusting and trapping, whatever, right? Exactly.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the person not wearing armor is just demonstrating
Yes.
the fight because if you did that with a Naginata unarmored against a fully armored man like that, you wouldn't survive.
No, no,
Uh,
no. He's just
the
showing
things he was
technique.
doing to the guy in armor only work if the guy in armor isn't resisting.
No, of course. No, he's just showing techniques, of course.
Yeah, so he's showing the technique for attacking,
Yes. And look at
which
these ones, please. These are also very nice here.
there's a repeating crossbow there on the left in the middle.
Ah,
Um,
yeah,
That's
here.
the Japanese version of the repeating crossbow.
Here.
Underneath that, that short, thick arrow-looking object is
This
a
one?
hand-thrown arrow. It's
Ah.
about that long, really thick. Uchine.
This
Uh,
one.
uh,
This one, Beat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, uchine. Um, these were like a miniature javelin, but they were really quite heavy. And if you could imagine a dart that you play darts with it at the pub, but weighing about a kilo, and just
Oh
go
God.
whack into somebody. And it would be very serious to be hit by one
Oh,
of
it
those.
is. Oh God, it is. It is. No
Oh,
doubt about
and they
it.
even have a false knock at the back to make them look like an arrow because uchine means arrow, nay, ichinoi.
Pete, look
But
at this one. Look at this one. Look. Do you see
oh yes, yeah.
it?
I wondered
Japanese
about this.
version of Bachnach.
Yes, yes. Except the bucknut could be concealed, whereas this waving that about.
Yes.
I think the bucknut is a little bit more dangerous. The little axe looks quite effective.
Yeah, yeah. This one's very effective.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very.
And lots of kusarigama.
Yep.
Again, as a weapon, they're very uncommon. Uh,
Yeah.
but in collections, they're very prominent because they're so
Yeah.
unusual. So the chain is attached to the top of the sickle behind the blade, so you could swing the whole thing around, wrap the chain around somebody, pull them towards you, and then hit them with the sickle, or cut their throat with the sickle,
Yes.
which is probably more effective. But they have quite a variety of those. I haven't seen that many in one place before. Um, they appear to have daggers concealed in pipes,
Yes.
all kinds of amazing things.
They have many things, right?
Yeah. Uh, these are quite unusual weapons.
Yes.
The question is whether they were meant to be used or meant to be displayed. Uchine, I know were used.
It's very
Um,
solid, this, very
yeah,
solid.
yeah. They often had points that were
And this
substantial.
one as well. Look at this one.
I think it's got a scabbard over the point. Uh, they again close range. They could cause lots of trouble. Some were throwing like
It
that,
is
and
a
others were
scabbard
throwing.
bead. I can see that. It is
Yeah,
a scabbard.
yeah.
It is a scabbard. Yeah. Yeah.
The crossbow, the repeating crossbows, typical of the Japanese versions. They have metal fittings. They're lacquered. They're really pretty.
Right. Yes, very nice.
Uh,
Oh, another armor. God, how many
oh,
armor set do they have?
yeah, look at the beautiful embossing on the breastplate.
Yeah.
That's been beaten up from the underside and then hammered round and chased and everything. This is at the level of jewelry.
Yeah, it is
I
really.
mean, the armor was probably reasonably effective, though the
Bede, have you ever
Japanese.
considered replicating a Japanese armor?
I've done a little bit of experimentation with the scales. Um, but to be honest, to do it justice, you would have to be able to get that high quality silk ribbon to do
Yeah.
the lacing.
Yeah.
And there are a number of people in Japan doing really good armor.
Yes,
Uh,
then. Yeah.
it's possible to make a kind of late Sengoku Jidai armor where there are solid bands in that, or armors like this, not the embossed ones, but the solid plate ones. That is within the realms of possibility of a modern armor to make a good one, because the basis of that breastplate is very much similar to a cha'aina. The cha'aina that have the hinges, they're
Ah, yes. The
very, very
hinges one.
similar.
Yes, yes. The
and
hinge.
and they and they were made within about 100 years of each other. They started making them in Iran and in Japan for the same reason,
Yeah.
bullets. Um, but when you look at them, I my feeling is that the mail for Japanese armor is a specialist job. Somebody's got to actually learn. I mean, there are still people in Japan that can make it. So I'm not saying that it's not a lost art, but it's really complicated to make, and it requires hardening of the mail once it's put together, which is a very delicate, because you remember you're heating up thin wire in a large area, and you've got to get the temperature exactly right to temper it to make it hard but not brittle. um it's a lot of work to make that. But to make a basic armor, something like one of the armors used by the Kato family or the Maeda family, that's within the realms of possibility. Um, as I say, I got to wear a 19th century armor in the 16th century style,
Mm.
which was a gift from a Japanese company to an Australian company back in the 1890s or something. And they are really quite nice. Uh, uh, Surprisingly comfortable, which is not what you think when you look at them. They look, very rigid and hard to move in, but they're not. They're very easy to move in. I mean, you see that foot soldier who's standing with his legs wide apart like that. You see how the armor just folds around him?
Yeah.
It doesn't get in the way at all.
Yeah.
It's a shame he's holding his sword up there. Oh, wait a minute. What's he doing? Holding. Hmm. So he could be. to go back and grab it. You notice the Japanese stirrups are bumi
Yeah.
that the horsemen are using. Now, this is when you see a lot of movies, you unless they're made in Japan, you do not see this type of stirrup because nobody else used them,
Yeah.
and they're remarkably difficult to use. A lot of people's feet fall out of them because there's no sides. Um, you've got to have a very good seat on your horse to use these properly. Uh, but
They have really beautiful display of armors, different types
oh,
on.
this is wonderfully done. I mean, it's I don't think I've seen anywhere that had as many mannequins wearing armor,
No.
and these dioramas
Yeah.
of armor in use. Um, some of the things are a little unusual. It's probably overarm use of a spear on horseback is probably unlikely. More likely is two-handed use on horseback. The Japanese were intent on getting the most powerful thrust. We were talking off camera the other day about your experiences receiving thrust from somebody on horseback and how incredibly powerful they are.
Yeah.
Uh, so they were determined to get the highest level of impact because if you're fighting I mean, you've got to cut your way through all the retainers, and this infantryman on the left, he's got a simple hat helmet, but quite effective.
Yes. Very.
His breastplate would be again very effective, but he's got full range of movement, so he's very dangerous. If you're on horseback and your horse stops because you can't get through, come up, grab your foot, throw you off the horse, and stab you when you're on the ground.
Yes.
So, I mean, when your horse is moving, you're really dangerous, but when it's standing still, you're in trouble. Notice also the sandals he's wearing,
Oh, yes.
uh,
Yes.
which are exactly the type of sandals everybody used to wear.
Yes.
And they're just made out of straw. They take a couple of hours to make,
Yes. Absolutely.
and they make you buy them by the dozen because again, journeys are measured in how many sets of sandals you wear out because they're consumable and biodegradable as well.
Wait, before you go
Wow,
ahead, I have a present for you. Look at the hair on this one.
this is wonderful.
You know
One
why?
of
This is an Irish samurai.
Irish or Scottish. I can think of an Irish, sorry, a Scottish comedian who actually has hair exactly like that. Oh yeah, they some of them are like some of the helmets have kind of hair like a lion's mane.
Yeah.
I mean, these are really spectacular. The armor of that one again is that later style of armor where it's rows of solid rows that are laced together like they're made out of scales. A folding fan for signaling by a general.
Yeah.
The next armor, the decoration on the helmet, the wheel is like the Buddhist wheel of existence.
Yes.
Um, and again, look at how solid that breastplate is.
Yes.
I mean,
Very.
worried about guns. Then on the next photo over, you can see two more fans. So there's, I think Uchiwa is the name of the. Ah, I'm probably wrong. The solid fan, there's a solid fan and a folding fan. The solid fans were more commonly used for signaling. I think that's a hat on the wall, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it is.
And again, a tachi, that tachi has got an old style suba, like
Yeah. Here.
8th or 9th century style, which they kept. The Japanese did not forget old styles of things because they had temples and old swords and things were on display. If you were an armorer or a sword maker and you wanted to make a sword in the 10th century style, you could go to a temple and
Yeah.
look at one,
Yes.
like we have museums.
Yes. Absolutely.
Um, so you had this kind of real. This is why it's really important to realize. Oh, they're nice. That you can see a Japanese object made in the 18th century, but it looks exactly like one made in the 14th century.
Oh, look, Pete. Now the katanas are and wakizashis are displayed correctly, edge up. But next, then
Yeah,
they're again edge down.
yeah. They haven't quite worked it out yet. Look at the
Yes.
beautiful Naginata scabbards those
Yeah,
Naginatas have above them.
unbelievable.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
in kind of like 1960s, 1970s books about Japanese martial arts, they associated the Naginata as a woman's weapon. And the reason was that most of the Naginata schools were teaching women because they
Yes.
thought it was very graceful,
Yes.
that the steps you needed to do the kata for training Naginata were very graceful and therefore suitable for a woman to have a more graceful carriage. The other thing is Naginata are so devastating as weapons that a small woman with a Naginata could absolutely destroy somebody with a sword.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it.
It's not a weapon that should be underestimated. And certainly in the period of the Mongol invasions, because there's the Mongol invasion scroll, shows people fighting, and Naganatas were favored weapons by samurai when they're fighting on foot in that period, in the 1200s, mid
No, I
1200s.
don't know if they are only koshiare or they're also really mounted with blades because maybe they have space issue because when you go to Musée d'Armée in Paris, they're always the blades are out next to the koshiare so you can see the blade,
Yeah,
right?
I think that could be an issue if you've got a lot
Yeah, they
of
have a lot.
swords.
Yeah. My students
Yeah,
said they have so many Japanese arms and armor and they have space issue. They cannot show all of them the way. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I mean, some museums deal with that problem by rotating the displays.
Yeah.
So, 6 months you'll have this group of objects out, the next 6 months another group out. But when you've got highly decorated scabbards, sometimes people are more receptive to the decoration of the scabbards. People
Yes.
are interested in swords, are interested in the harmon on the blade and everything like that. But the general public may be more impressed by the scabbards.
Yeah, they
The
don't
one thing,
understand activities on the blade. No, they don't. I
well,
agree.
yeah, I mean, that's a matter of education. We've got to actually
Yeah.
discuss these things so people can find out about them. Um,
Yes.
but I'm looking at that kind of giant tanto in the middle at the top with its flaring scabbard.
Let me
I've
see.
seen
Oh,
one
this
like,
one, this one, this one.
yeah, the orange one. No, the orange one
Orange
does it.
one. Yeah, orange one.
Yeah. See that it's got a tanto like handle, but that's a long blade for a tanto.
Very
That's
long. It looks like a short wakizashi. Very long blade for a
yeah,
tank.
yeah. And that swelling at the tip, sometimes they had special ones for special professions.
Yes. Yes.
And there were people were only allowed to carry swords with wooden blades because they were not proper samurai.
Oh God, there are
Again,
so many items here. It's unbelievable, Pete.
there's a huge number. There's more. Well, there's a conch shell trumpet.
Yes.
Uh, there's
Here.
a katana in a stand, and again, the katana is mounted in the stand exactly the same way as a tachi would be.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
another helmet hat,
Here.
jimbashi. Uh, these actually have like a little thing for your head to fit in, and then they sit on top of it. Uh, they're often lacquered ones were almost like rain hats. They were really good in bad weather because they protected you from the rain, but also they were very effective um, um, slowing down a sword blade or deflecting because they'd actually move if they got hit. They didn't. They weren't. I mean, they were tied on quite solidly, but they'd move, which might save your life. The swords there, they really look as though they're quite interesting swords. It would
Very.
be, as you say, it'd be nice to see the blades.
Yeah.
Um, the second from the bottom looks like the scabbard is covered in scrimshaw, like it's
Yeah.
shallow incision in bone or ivory in
Yeah.
the scabbard. Um,
How beautiful.
yeah, they're good. Oh, and Mas from the theatre.
Yes,
No,
they have it as well.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and see, this is again this inventiveness, and the theatre was very formalized, but also full of funny little. By funny, I mean numerous little things in it. The faces and everything are. We think they look quite strange, but
You
they
know,
had.
Pete, when I looked at
Mhm,
these masks, look at this one in the middle.
mhm.
It looks like one of those cheap horror movies made in US. And then the guy carries this mask and comes and is a serial
Yeah.
killer.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've got all that, but the demon masks are even more like horror movies, aren't they?
Oh yeah, these ones, yeah. They look like a Persian div.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's this kind of common cultural idea. But these are brilliant. You see similar masks in Tibet and in Java and places like that. Um, Demons bring out artistic creation in some people.
Beautiful, isn't it? They aren't they?
Yeah, they're wonderfully made. Oh, now they've decided to show us some blades.
Yes, no, yeah.
Mm.
So then presumably those are not Koshiara only, I'm sure they're mounted then, right? The other ones.
Yeah, I yeah probably are. So I mean, obviously you had sets of mountings for your blade, so it you might have three or four different sets of mountings for the blade. So it'd be logical to mount them on a wooden blade when if you wanted to display them. Because again, these were objects that important men, samurai, and that would have in their houses and show to their friends. And
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
connoisseurship. It wasn't, oh, I've got a sword and I'm going to kill somebody. It's, oh, look at this beautiful
No.
sword that was made by such and such, and my uncle got it from his great uncle who
Yeah.
got it from such and such, who was the lord of
Yes.
Ichigo or whatever.
Objects of
So
art. Absolutely.
yeah, and connoisseurship. People would discuss the qualities of the blade or the metalwork on the scabbard,
Another
or
armor piece. Oh, God.
oh yeah, and this one again, the solid breastplate. We're serious about defending ourselves, and the absolutely crazy helmet. So that would inside that would be a normal three plate helmet, and then a whole structure of lacquered thin wood and whatever would be built up on top of it to make that shape in the form of a hat or something like that, with two little pom poms sticking.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Really. And the scabbards on these ones, look at them. So unbelievable.
Mother of pearl inlay and lacquer, I
Yes,
think.
these are this. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, God, look at these ones.
Now that's really stylish. Again, see the on the bottom one of the mempo has flanges running up the cheeks, and that's for the cords for the helmet to tie behind so they don't move. The On the other photograph you've got Jim. Well, I think it's a Jim Biori. So this is the jacket, sleeveless jacket that you wear over your armor. Then more Naginata with smaller blades and long shafts. Again, you can get a huge amount of speed at the end of that shaft. And the blades are all the Naginata blades I've ever seen are really solid. I mean, a quarter of an inch thick at the back or more, depending on the style. The helmet on the stand with it's like it's a head wearing another helmet on top of it with a wrinkled forehead and eyebrows and that and an emaciated face. I mean, this is the stuff of science fiction movies.
It is unbelievable. Oh, God, look. Pete, this one I wanted to show you to see. You would love this helmet. Look.
Yeah, yeah, the mud crab surprise.
Yeah.
And the Japanese armorers when they weren't uh, making money making armors, turned their skills into making articulated dragons and that out of metal, and snakes and all kinds of articulated animals. So that's got a long tradition when you go back to a helmet that's got crab claws on it.
I'm going to travel to Berlin and see them in person and make many more pictures and films. But
Yeah.
really, it's worth going there. You see how many pieces they have, Pete?
Oh, this is huge. I mean, as you said, it's probably the largest collection of armor outside of Japan.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, yeah, on display. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's lots of Japanese armors in Western collections because when Westerners went to Japan after it opened up after the Meiji Restoration, armor in Japan within samurai families, their armors were valuable to them. But a lot of families lost their living and everything like that, so they sold off a lot of things that were basically outdated. Um, and to Western eyes, these were absolutely extraordinary. They didn't really understand how they worked or anything, but they really understood how beautiful they were. And
This,
so a lot of them ended up in the West.
and this one is also very beautiful on the right side, Pete.
Yeah, and again, it's a pretty practical armor. See, it has smaller sode on the shoulders, which was sode started out as big rectangular things, and then they got smaller and narrower and more form fitted, which is more practical because they actually did give you a defense against sword cuts and spears. Oh, there you've got the complete set of helmet ornaments up the top there. Everything from dragons to chubby rabbits with giant ears.
What is this one?
That's a fat rabbit with big ears.
Oh, it is. Yes, I see that now. Okay.
I mean, they're incredible. Little birds. I mean,
Honestly, Pete,
demons.
I am sure you agree with me. I have been to so many museums. I mean, okay, in Europe, US, Russia, seen so many Japanese arms and armor, but I've never seen such a beautiful collection outside Japan. I have to say it to you.
Oh yeah, yeah. These are stunning. I mean, and they're
Stunning.
in such good condition.
Yeah, look at them.
I mean, I think there's a lot of places that have a few really nice pieces of Japanese armor, but
Yeah,
it's not on display because they don't. In the museum, there's not an area to do this kind of thing. But
yeah,
they should seriously think of it because the general public might not know a lot about Japanese armor, but when they see it, they're impressed and
yeah,
they're interested.
incredible.
Oh, oh, the palanquin.
Yeah.
Imagine having to travel in a box like that.
God, terrible. Yeah, exactly. We saw that armor already. Again, more armor, Pete.
Oh, yeah. Big sode in the front there. So they're the sode for the shoulders of that armor.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite obvious there. Um,
This is a boy
I
armor, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because really important families would have armors made for their
Yeah.
most likely to succeed son. It was a very
And more
there is
armor.
a yeah. See the sleeve armor laying down in the front there.
Yeah, here.
So that shows there's the bit that goes on the upper arm over the shoulder, then the bit that's I suppose you could call it fenestrated, where it's got the little hole so that the
Yeah.
elbow,
Pete,
the
it
inside of the elbow
reminds
there.
me of Joshan concept.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I mean, Japanese armor is unique, uh, but some concepts that grow out of, say, lamellar armor are universal to Japan and to, say, the Ilkhanate and Jalayirid armors in Iran.
Yeah. Yeah.
They developed in the same way because they were trying to solve the same problems, starting from the same base. Look at the insects there. This is what I was saying about armorers when they weren't making armor because nobody was buying it. Turned their skills into making articulated sculptures.
What kind of insect is this?
Praying mantis.
Ah, it's a praying mantis. Of course, now I see that.
Yeah,
It's a praying
yeah.
mantis. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's
But just
unbelievable.
think of how wonderfully. And this is oh there you see a breastplate by itself with a
Yeah.
dragon embossed on it in the right. That gives you a good idea. see what I meant? See the toggles that go over the shoulders that hold it together. That's the part that was covered by that other part of armor in the other older style of armors. Yeah, this is and the mempo on the figure in that armor at the back with the giant nose.
Yeah, this one.
Sometimes that is to represent a Tengu, a spirit
Oh.
creature that taught one of the Japanese heroes sword fighting.
So it does
Um,
not mean, Pete, it does not mean that the wearer of this armor definitely needed a nose job operation. That's not what it
no,
means.
that's not his nose. That's a bird's beak. See the nostrils higher up on the outside. The
It
funny
is.
thing is that because of Buddhist sculpture coming through China,
Yeah.
there are figures that have big noses, and in the masks you will find occasionally figures that have big Roman nosed noses, and really that's a comment on Westerners because the Japanese felt Westerners had very big noses.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. I just want, yeah, it's true. Look at these ones, Pete. Again. You can
wow,
have a
this
glimpse, a bit of distance, my student did there now, to look at the,
yeah,
look how they're exhibited. Unbelievable. On one part of the
huge,
museum. Huge,
yeah,
huge.
huge.
It gives you an idea how huge this museum is.
Oh
And
yeah, and
again, armor.
that it looks yeah, it looks to me like the Haidati, the thigh armor in that armor is made from mail, which is quite unusual. It's not unknown, but it's quite unusual. Um, Again, the multi-part breastplate with the embossed figure on the front of the chest. Um, you see the cord for the helmet, and they've wrapped it all up down there because it's quite long because it goes up and around a couple of times and ties up underneath. So it's quite a long thing. Um, you can't quite see it clearly, but the helmet on the extreme right and the right photograph sitting on the box.
Mm.
At the base of the back of the Shikoro, there's a ring,
Yeah, there
and
is.
right over on the, you can just basically see the base of where the ring is. Uh, to the right of the photograph, there's a helmet sitting on the box. You're looking at the back of the helmet.
Yeah.
That ring had a silk cord through it in a bow, a gamaki style bow that hang off the back. And people often in Japan in the 1700s asked what they were for. And that was to stop it from flopping up. They would have put a bit of weight at the back so that the neck guard didn't lift up and expose the neck. So we have swords in their shirasaya.
Yeah.
Um, See, here's quite a few sword blades dismounted, showing all the different parts.
Here you can see the hamon. I mean, it's too far to
Yeah,
distinguish, but beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
These are high grade blades.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The But it's also nice on the right where they're showing the whole disassembled sword, the blade,
Yes. Different
the
stories,
silver,
different curves, sorry, different.
yeah,
uh,
Kozuka and all sorts of
Look
stuff.
at this.
Wow, that's spectacular.
You can see a bit now here.
Yeah,
Oh, the name of the sword maker is also there from, you
yeah.
see that?
Masahiro,
Masahiro.
Masahiro. Yeah,
Yeah, 1615 to, oh God, it's unbelievable. How
sixteen
big
fifteen to 1668 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, my eyes failed to help me. Yeah, exactly, 68. That's right.
Yeah. And then on the other side, you have a Tanto in full Tanto mounts on the skater as well. I think that's a Tanto blade in the middle.
Yeah,
Look at how long the tang is and how thin and long and slightly curved the blade is. That looks like a Tanto blade.
yeah, that's right.
Um,
Look at
oh,
these.
more beautiful things.
Unbelievable. And look
Yeah,
down there, Bede. I mean, there's so many items.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm sorry, I think I misspoke earlier. I think I said Tanto when I meant to say Tachi. Uh,
Touchy,
because I
touchy.
just, yeah, because that's a Tachi blade, I think, in the middle. And
Yes,
then there is a Tanto blade in the next photograph.
yes.
My
I
brain is out
understood.
of
You
sync.
wanted to say touchy. Yes, no problem.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But there is a Tanto and Shirasaya. Um,
Look at this tanto
and
here, Beat.
yeah, and then there is see, you've got the touchy mounts and
Yeah.
then the touchy blade underneath.
Yeah.
More curved, long tang.
Oh, how beautiful these things are.
Yeah, I mean this is
Let
really
me
high
just
grade.
show it for you a bit. And they also have some of the armors, as Dana told me.
Mhm.
They move, so you can take a look from
Oh right,
close.
yeah, because you can see that flap thing on the back is where the
Yeah.
flag is.
So,
Um,
so they have some of the armors. Look at her hands. She's moving that. Did you see that? So
yeah.
you see that? She's turning it.
Oh yeah, so that you have a control, so you can
Yeah,
rotate the arm to see it from all sides.
that's what she's
That's
doing.
excellent. That's such a good idea
Yeah,
because I went through all kinds of acrobatics to see the backs of some armors in a museum display
yeah.
once.
They have good ideas, and that's what she said to me. That some of the armor you can turn and take a look at them. Look at this one, for example. Excuse me. Look at this one. Oh, is it working? No. Oh no, it's just a slideshow of things we had, so it doesn't make
Oh yeah,
sense.
right.
No, I think
Yeah.
no. It's just a. Oh no, it's a slideshow of things we had. So, Beat. Okay. So, did you like this, Beat? What a long
No,
discussion.
no, that was amazing. I haven't seen that much Japanese armor of such high quality in such good condition,
Yeah.
displayed so well for a long time. I can't imagine anywhere outside of Japan with a display like that.
Yeah, unbelievable. And it has been open, I don't know how many years, not long, not long. They made a big, advertisement for that. And then this sort
Well, I
of,
mean, it's very modern displays. It's well thought out. There's a lot of effort goes into that. Now,
yeah,
I might say, oh, the shoulder guards are on backwards or something like that. That is, it's not pedantic. It's real. The shoulder guards are the wrong way around on one of those armors. But when you think of how many armors they're displaying, this is a 0.1% problem
yeah,
as opposed to, you know, you got. I saw a video, a professionally made video about Japanese archery and armor, and it was part of it filmed in Japan, and a person's wearing an armor backwards, and I'm going, what? I mean, everything was in the wrong place. Like the back plate was on the front, and I mean, there's a lot of material in Japanese about Japanese armors, and there's a lot of material now in English and German about Japanese armors.
yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
it's not like there's a problem finding out.
Yes,
It's just, I think sometimes people, when they've got real armors to work with, get overwhelmed by the complexity,
yeah, it is complex.
and it's just like it sensory overload,
Yes, it is sensitive.
which you can't blame them. I mean, as I said, I was invited over to have a look at an armor many years ago, like 30 years ago, and I saw all the parts, photographed them all for my own research, and just so many bits, and they all fitted together the way they were supposed to. And you kind of think, and this was, probably made in the 1850s or 1840s or something like that. And then it was given as a gift to an Australian company because they were importing into Japan in the latter part of the 19th century. And the Japanese company gave the proprietors of this company an armor on a stand as a present. And when you get to see these things and you realize, even at a late stage, they were still making good quality armor
Yeah, absolutely.
because they knew all the details of how to do it.
They do. Thanks a lot, Pete, and I wish you a nice day, and wish you a nice day, and see you soon then.
All right, see you soon.